Welcome to the Revolution of Purpose podcast. I'm your host, John Street, and each week we bring you conversations with thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and individuals who have aligned their life with purpose and created extraordinary results.
So I'm going to live through it and accept it radically with grace and hope and love.
I would be proud to be in this council.
It was an honor. I had so much fun.
Tune in every Monday for the Revolution of Purpose solo show and every Thursday for Revolution of Purpose conversations. Hello and welcome to Revolution of Purpose. I'm your host, John Street. I am so happy that you're here with me today. So today, I am so excited to introduce you to my friend and mentee and co-author of the book Revolution of Purpose, Zunairah Rafay. Zunairah is an alignment coach, a hypnotherapist, an NLP practitioner, and she specializes in helping individuals and leaders reconnect with their highest potential. Her work goes far beyond surface level change. She focuses on deep subconscious transformation through modalities like NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, a timeline therapy. She allows her clients to shift identity patterns and release those emotional blocks. She creates lasting internal alignment. She works with both individuals and organizations, guiding high performers and leaders through identity evolution, emotional mastery, and clarity of purpose, so they can operate at their highest level, not just in what they do, but who they are. And what makes this conversation so powerful today is that we're not just talking about mindset. We are talking about the subconscious patterns that shape our identity, those internal rewirings that are required for real transformation, and what it truly means to become the version of yourself that your purpose is calling you to. Zunairah, welcome to Revolution of Purpose podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor. I am so happy to be here. I haven't been introduced like that, so it feels so good. Thank you so much for doing that. I love that. How are you doing today?
You'll get used to it. It's the first of many, and I'm doing really well. I've been so looking forward to this conversation. I know we have been talking about this for
Since
about a year. Oh my gosh. And it's really exciting to me to do this because your work, it really sits at the intersection of identity and mindset and transformation. So before we get into everything I want to talk about today, I want to start here. I want to ask you this question, Z. Who are you today that the younger version of yourself would be proud of?
Oh my God. So many things. For starters, I think I'm someone who's very liberated and comfortable in her skin. Someone who doesn't overthink or is spiraling around decision making and stuff. Someone who stepped into her higher self, who makes decisions that are aligned, not from a place of survival or people pleasing. But yeah, to begin with that, I feel like she would be really proud of me today.
That's outstanding. And I'm sure she is. I know in the Revolution of Purpose coaching program where we wrote a letter from our goal-achieved life to our current self.
Yes.
It would be a good idea to write a letter to that younger self and just let her know what you're doing now and how amazingly independent and brilliant and strong you are and how bright your light is shining around the world.
Thank you so much. It wouldn't have happened without you. You know that. You played such an important role in my life, especially for this. It makes me emotional every time, but I am so blessed to have you. So honored to be a part of this.
Thank you so much, Z. It is an honor for me to be a mentor and coach in your life, and I'm so thrilled. Just so thrilled the way the universe connected us, how everything just has come together. And the way that we're growing together is really amazing. I mean, There's no doubt. You found me on Instagram, and it just started there. And we had the book, the coaching program, and everything. And it's been amazing to see your change in life. When we started working together, you were doing voiceover work and some ghostwriting and things like that. And during the coaching program, you really started to believe, hey, I want to do the same type of thing. What was that transformation like for you? And even more, what was the catalyst that brought that decision on?
Oh, you know where it's gonna go. So it was basically when we were doing the Ikigai exercise, and I feel like, and I think it was when we were all doing it collectively that something lit up, and I was like, oh my God, what is this feeling? I've never felt like this before. I felt so alive. I felt so awakened, and I was like, oh my God. And then at the same time, I was really terrified. I was like, "What is that? I can't ignore this. This is really strong. I gotta listen to this." And then it just like everything started to fall into place. Even though at the time, you know how things were, it felt like it was falling apart, but it was all basically aligning and falling into place.
Absolutely. And it was, I mean, it was like watching a an eagle learn to fly during the coaching program.
Yeah, you were like,
it
"Why
was
didn't you think of
amazing.
this before? You'll be great at this." And I was like, "What?" I think a part of me wanted you to not validate that or like think a little bit because then I would be like, okay, because I'd want to stay in my comfort zone. Because becoming a guide has been completely getting out of my comfort zone, and honestly, nothing has grown me more than this. And you were like, "Yeah, you would be so good at it. Why aren't you doing this?" I was like, "Oh my God, now this is another sign. I have to do this."
And then you took it to like a whole nother level. You know,
Yeah.
so much of what I do at mindset work, we go deep, but
Yep.
you go to like this deeper NLP hypnotic
All the
subconscious
way,
level.
all the way in, all the way in. It's
And you
crazy.
know, I'm really excited about exploring that side of it with you today, for sure. So, if someone is hearing this for the first time, how much of our identity is actually being driven by the subconscious versus our conscious thought?
So honestly, John, I feel like it's everything because our decision making, our conditioning, it's all in the subconscious mind, right? Everything has been wired from our subconscious mind because we've been conditioned a certain way. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't even know that they've been conditioned a certain way, and all of the opinions that they believe that are their beliefs are basically projections and others' opinions. So yeah, like a big part of it. Because when I started my journey and I started shedding off a lot of layers and coming into my inner dialogue and my purpose as well, and it wasn't very long ago, to be honest. And it was like, oh my God, what have I been doing with my life? Where have I been? I feel like I've only lived 3 years, even though I'm 33. So that's how it feels. And it's scary, but I feel like it's the most beautiful thing. If you're out to understand your own truth, you have to dig into the subconscious mind and know who you really are at the core.
That's huge. What do you think are like some really common subconscious patterns that people use to hold themselves back? You know, in the coaching program, I love to call these our limiting beliefs,
That's what it
because they
is.
really are. They're these
Yep,
limiting beliefs that are like prison cells to us, but they're actually
absolutely.
of our own making that we can just walk right through anytime. What do you
Yeah.
see, like, when you're working with people? What do you feel like so many are getting stuck in?
Honestly, John, you couldn't have put it better because they are basically prison cells, right? And I feel like we've lived that life as well, so we understand what that feels like. And then breaking from those as well, we know that feeling as well. People do have a lot of limitations. I feel like it's not really about just the limiting beliefs. I feel like they're more scared to become a version of themselves that requires them to be their highest self. Because you've taught us this as well. It's all about be, do, have, right? So it all comes down to who you're supposed to be at the subconscious level, and rewiring that identity is really important. So some people would be really good to like tune in, they'd be really comfortable with the shifts, and some would be like, okay, okay, like, am I ready for this, am I not ready for this, do you want to take this path? But what I've learned as a guide, the kind of energy and frequency I carry to a session, that makes a huge difference. They automatically pick up. So now I understand how much of others' projections and how much of others' frequencies like I was also trapped in. So if I could, like, if my frequency and my high vibration could have a domino effect for the other, then they can, like, this is really good. So it's like we all can really heal and collectively. It's great. It goes deeper and deeper and deeper. I can't stop talking about it.
No, I love it though. And would you say when you're seeing people identifying their own limiting beliefs when you're working with a client, doesn't that do the same for you? Like, doesn't that trigger in your mind? You're like, oh my gosh, I've been doing that same thing. And so many times our clients are really kind of teaching us and showing us as we're guiding them.
God, I didn't know every other guide felt that way. Thank you so much for telling me that. I thought I was the only one. And God works in these amazing ways, right? Like He's going to send a person that is going to impact us as well as a guide. I feel like it's both ways. It's not just us impacting the other. It's like a two-way street. And they're going to bring a part of us out. They're going to help us grow into a version of ourselves that we were not tapping into. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
every time I help someone heal with something, I feel like that part of me is also healed. So it's the most beautiful feeling ever.
That is so beautiful. And it is amazing how this happens even from around the world. So you guys watching this, Zunairah is in Pakistan. I'm in the southeastern part of the United States. And because of the miracles of modern technology, we can have an interview like this. We can have
Yeah.
a podcast like this.
Oh.
And it is amazing how even from around the world, I can feel her energy. She can feel my energy. And she's so right. As we're working with people and they heal, there is a part of us that heals along with them. Even when you're watching this, it's not bound by time either. It's
Yeah.
not space. It's not bound by
Oh,
time. It's not bound by
God.
anything.
We
We're
love that
flowing in that
concept.
energetic field.
We love
Isn't
that
it amazing?
concept. Oh yes, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I have chills, but I love it. I feel like you look at time differently as well. When you learn
I
to
do.
really channel yourself, right? Like before it would be like we were just talking about it a while ago, like okay, we can do this when this happens or we can do that when this happens. The breakthroughs are so fast. The shifts happen so fast when you're tapping into your higher self and you're like, okay, I'm going to take the discomfort and I'm going to step into my high self. I'll make the decisions, and when you're aligned with those decisions, it's like your reality is going to be on another level. And it's crazy. I love watching that happen for my clients.
I do too. And it's been life changing. You know, I was using time as a limiting belief. And I truly was like, well, when I do this, then I can do this, and then I can do this. Or I will have this success when I'm this age, when I've done coaching for this long, or my book has been out this long, or my podcast has been out this long. And I'm basically telling the universe what I'm allowing when I do that. Because we're creating our reality that we see around us every single day, every single thought, all of the energy that we're flowing in. And it wasn't until, I was in, and we talked about this before this call, but I was in Austin, Texas with our friend and mindset coach, Adam Avinas. And he was talking about how the quantum physics part of time, where every different option of our life already exists, and how when
yeah.
we go on our frequency up that map of consciousness,
that.
we are actually aligning with that time where it exists. And it was just mind-blowing when I finally got it. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, God, source, our higher power, the universe is so big that I don't have to wait for some amazing, groundbreaking idea. It can happen like that and change my entire life in an instant. I don't have to keep looking at one day. I can believe that it can all happen right now. And that has been a gigantic shift in my life just in the past couple of months even.
I love that. There's this friend of mine who recently said something really beautiful. If you know your why strongly, your how becomes really easy. And I do remember the same friend you were talking about, Adam, right? And the time I spoke to him, he was like, listen, talk about what like what your timeline should look like. Don't talk about the how. You don't have to worry about it. And I was like, hey, wait, he's so right. That's not for me to worry about. People usually get stuck in the how. And this is something I also face with my clients as well. And I have to constantly tell them, listen, it's not up to you. You just have to put in the effort. You just have to align with your highest self. You got to be that person, and the how will automatically happen. We don't know the how, right? God has the best plans for us. He has the best ways things are designed for us. He is the best creator, right? We can't be that creative, So we got to
Exactly.
let the how be, and we just have to
Yeah.
tap into what we're supposed to do.
And believing that if we're tapped into that highest consciousness, if we are tapped into God, that that same creative passion, that same creative fervor is flowing through us. Like when we
Absolutely.
realize, like you said, it's not up to us. When we try to put limitations on ourselves, we're actually putting limitations on God. We're saying, well, the same God
Yes.
that we see working around us in the universe at all times is not big enough to do this for me. You know,
Yeah.
but that's just not it. It's
Yeah.
just not the way it is. We've learned too many times that
Yeah.
God is absolutely massive and can
Yep.
absolutely create through us in an instant anything that we desire, anything that would change our lives.
Absolutely. I think it's something we also accomplished in one of our mastermind calls as well. That, if you're doubting yourself, you're doubting God.
Please pardon me while I interrupt your podcast episode with a quick message. If you're enjoying today's episode, can I ask you one small favor? If you're watching on YouTube, just please take a second to hit that little bell and subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button and share this. Share it with someone who needs some encouragement today. Also, if you're listening on your favorite podcast app, I need your help there too. I would be so grateful if you'd follow the show, leave a 5-star rating and review, and share this episode with a friend. These simple actions make a tremendous difference in the growth of this show. They help these conversations reach more people who are searching for hope, searching for purpose, searching for practical mindset tools that will transform their lives. And if you're looking for even more motivation, mindset strategies, and purpose-driven content, I would love to connect with you on social media. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at John Street Official. Also, I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn. Just search for John Street. And then one last very important thing. If you've ever found yourself asking questions like, why am I here? Am I living my purpose? How do I get unstuck in life? How do I take my life to the next level? Then I would love to invite you to schedule a free clarity call with me. Let me be clear. This is not a sales call. This is not a coaching call with someone from my team. This is nothing pre-recorded. This is a real one-on-one coaching conversation with me. And together we will explore where you are, where you want to go, and what may be standing in your way. My goal is simply to help you gain greater clarity, direction, and momentum in reaching your goals. To connect with me, to schedule your clarity call, or to learn more about the Revolution of Purpose coaching programs that I offer, please visit johnstreet.org or reach out to me on any of the social media platforms I mentioned. And now, let's get you back to today's episode. Mention be, do, have. You know, that is the crux of the teaching. I know watching Bob Proctor talk about that was just so powerful to me. And like before I even knew about this mindset, like just seeing the whole, you have to become your goal achieved person. And then when you do, you will do the things that person does, and then you'll have the things that person has. And I love that because it, on one hand, it puts the responsibility on us. On the other hand, it takes the responsibility off of us, because it's really saying that if we just become that person, we'll naturally flow instead of hustle. We mentioned earlier about how we get into hustle culture and how hustle culture can absolutely drive you nuts trying to be a success. And it's not the way it's meant to be. We're meant to have success through our flow and not through our pushing, you know?
Yeah. If you've seen that podcast of Alex Hermosi and Tony Robbins, that was such a good example. That was such a good example of it.
Yeah. Expound on that a little more.
So, for me, like, I honestly believe that I was also a big part of it, right? Because I didn't really understand what be, do, have really means. So it was all about chasing from a lack mindset, from a scarcity mindset, and just like more and do more and do more and do more and do more, when it's really about being more, right? And when it's about being more, it's more about being in tuned, allowing yourself to pause, understanding your own truth. And you know what? People really need to understand that when you're elevating as your highest self, anything that is meant for you will not cross you. We need to have that faith in God. We need to have that faith in ourselves. Because when we're in that hustle culture and we're constantly just like performing from survival, right? Our subconscious mind is in a low vibration, is activated in a low vibration, and we're telling ourselves all these, limiting beliefs. And time is very different. Like, time is not enough. This is not enough. We're constantly anxious, and our nervous system is constantly dysregulated, right? So the work I do around the subconscious mind and nervous system regulation really allows you to come out of that dysregulated state, heal your past traumas, childhood wounds, your anxieties, and whatever, that's been holding you back, even the limiting beliefs. And then you become at a level that you're elevated as your highest self. And when I say highest self, that's someone who's aligned with your decision making, right? It has to be true to who you are. It doesn't matter what anybody says, it doesn't matter what anybody believes about money, success, as long as it's true to you, that's your highest self.
That is so powerful. That really is, because no one else is going to see your alignment. It's your alignment. Like, that's so many people
Absolutely.
are always asking opinions of things they know the answer to, but they just want that validation. They just want somebody to tell them.
Just like I wanted yours. I was like, should I be doing this or not?
Well, and you almost wanted me to say no, because you're like, that's overwhelming to me. And I'm like, no, yeah, that's exactly what you should do. And you're like, man,
Yeah.
But I
even
think
recently with all the decisions, I feel like now that I'm practicing this muscle more, it is uncomfortable. There is discomfort, right? When you have to be your highest self, I feel like you become more stronger in taking more high risk decisions. You're taking more risk. Go on, you have something to say.
Well, I know that just made me think of the best question for you, though.
Yeah.
And how would you say, let's say someone's watching this and they want to know the difference between feeling uncomfortable and being misaligned? Because sometimes you have to challenge your discomfort, and that's the aligned decision, So how do you tell the difference between those two things?
So what I've realized is that when you're feeling misaligned, right, your body is going to tell you a different story. It's going to say no, like, this is not for you. This doesn't align with your values, because when you're stepping into alignment, you would know your values, right? You must have done enough work on yourself to know at least what are your core values. And when you're taking that decision and, stepping into that discomfort, you're going to feel the peace. You'll still feel a little uneasy, but there is going to be peace. Okay, I've made the right decision. You're going to feel like, oh, I've shut another layer off. I'm one more step closer. It's always about that feeling of being one more step closer. And I think having that feeling is really validating, because then that's like proof of, okay, you've become closer to who you're supposed to be.
I think that's huge, because you're going to have that terror barrier. You're going to have that moment of fear that you have to bust through, but you're still aligned, and there is that, I think it's just a deep knowing, there is something deep down inside of you that says, this is right, even if it's scaring me to death, this is right. And I have to bust through the fear and flow in that. And I think you're 100% right, because you can tell. You may have to get quiet and really listen, but you can tell.
Yeah, your body is far more intelligent than your brain, by the way, and your body knows. Your body knows, oh my God. And intuition, it can do wonders if you can tap into that. Yesterday, I was just speaking to this guy friend of mine, and I was like, I need to have a particular conversation with a particular someone, who I'm talking about, and like, what do I do about this and all. He was like, listen, just go inside yourself and be in your core. You'll know what to say, because if it's coming from your truth, the conversation is coming from your truth. If it's really real to you, it's honest to you, it's going to create more alignment for you. And if the other person isn't receptive enough, then that will show you were never supposed to align to begin with. And I was like, wait, that's so powerful. Because like, when you're supposed to be in alignment, right, like, it shows you get that validation from God, basically. It's like
Exactly.
like even your reality, your current reality, and people around you might not agree. They might not understand. They're at different levels in their life, and that's completely fine. Everybody has their own journey. But I feel like God validates you in ways. The universe validates you in ways when you're in alignment.
And you can tell the people that don't align with you. Like their energy just doesn't match your energy, and that's
Yeah,
okay.
I think we did a
You
lot of
know?
work around that back in ROP.
Yeah, definitely. And
I remember
it's
coming to you about, a few people, and you know what I really
yeah.
loved about you as well, John. You weren't that kind of a person who would be like, okay, just impulsively make the decision. This was something I liked about you too. You were like, give it some time, understand where it's coming from, how you're making that decision, and just like step into your highest self. And how would she act? And then that would make things a lot easier.
That is really important too. When we make sure we're in alignment, then we can make
Yeah.
decisions that are aligned a lot easier. So
Yeah.
that is true. So kind of shifting gears a little bit, I do want to delve into more of the NLP and timeline therapy that you do, and kind of share with people exactly what is happening during that process.
Ooh, both of these questions. So with NLP, it's just simply helping a person create new neural pathways in our brain, right? New ways of thinking. Simply that. You have certain interventions, you have certain exercises, you have certain questions, you have certain breath work, because I'm really into breath work. I feel like breath work is phenomenal. If you can add those to your interventions, they do wonders. So through that, you're opening the portal to the subconscious mind as well, right? And when you're doing that, you're also welcoming and inviting God. Because I feel like my work is really rooted around that, right? So when you're tapping into that self and you're allowing yourself to, when have new ways of thinking, questioning your own self, questioning your own conditioning, and then you have that like breakthrough. A client would have a particular breakthrough. Oh, okay, maybe this is not mine. Maybe someone told me that when I was a child, right? Or maybe this was some insecurity my parents had as well, because they're human beings as well at the end of the day, and they pick up from their parents as well. So they learn to separate the two, right? And with that being said, timeline therapy work is also something rooted in that, right? Like, because it is a huge part of NLP, right? When you're recreating your reality as well. So, in timeline therapy, you go back to a person's timeline, you explore the root cause of where that particular trauma, anxiety, negative emotion basically started and stemmed from. And it does wonders, John. Sometimes it'll take you into a very imaginative timeline where, I don't know if you believe in this, but I do believe in generational trauma. And a lot of people have been able to heal their generational trauma as well through timeline therapy.
That is so huge. Well, so many people carry around that emotional weight
Yeah.
from past experiences and their traumas. And then
Yep.
when you look at this family cycles that are passed
Oh,
down one
God.
after another, someone has to be the one to break that cycle. So I guess when you're talking about timeline therapy, when it comes to breaking those cycles of trauma, how does that happen? How do you help someone do that?
Okay. So I would love to do a live example with you, but some other time whenever you're
yeah,
comfortable.
yeah, maybe
I love
maybe
it.
another episode.
It's like, oh my, this is triggering hypnotherapy side. No, no, no. So basically, you just relax the person enough in a particular state of mind where they're comfortable enough to go into their timeline, right? And the timeline is basically the past, present, and the future, every person's timeline. And you never know where you're going to pick up. We sometimes feel like we know where a particular trauma or a negative emotion has stemmed from. But when you're doing timeline therapy work, the answers come out very differently and very uniquely. Sometimes it could be when I was 3 years old. It could be when a person was 7 years old. It could be something they picked up from a parent, or it could be something their grandmother had. Like it'll do like really crazy stuff, or it could be something recent as well, because you're getting them into a particular state of being where they're able to channel their subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind stores all the memories in your timeline, right? So your subconscious mind has access to it. So when you're tapping into that, you're also accessing your subconscious mind, accessing that particular memory that was, which was like a root cause for that emotion, for that negative emotion, basically. So when you understand the root cause, you understand the learning, you understand your own positive learning from it, you preserve the wisdom and you release the heaviness. And I feel like that grows you on another level.
That sounds like instead of managing their trauma, it's releasing
Yeah.
it. It's actually
Yep.
bringing about healing through that release.
Yep.
Would that
Yep.
be fair, you think?
Yes, but you're also carrying learnings, right? You access learnings, you access anchors because our body and our mind and everything is really connected. And if you could really learn to create a coordination while we're working on ourselves or while we're healing, our body will support it too.
That's huge. Yeah, I love the thought of timeline therapy. I love, we talked about earlier writing a letter to your younger self. I mean,
Yep,
so many traumas that we deal with right now are things that we felt in childhood, that we felt when
yep,
we were younger.
absolutely,
And it's huge to go
absolutely.
back and heal that. And that's another way of looking at the timeline because we can, in the present, go back and heal something that happened in the past. And I think that's another way that we can look at the timeline as not being linear. Because, if we believe that God and spirit is not controlled by linear time, then why are we? So we can go back in the moment and heal that happened many years ago.
Crazy. I have goosebumps. This conversation is I love it. I love every
Isn't
bit
that
of this.
awesome?
Yep,
Oh my
yep.
God. So when you're working with people and they go back in their timeline, um, and they get that release, like what changes does that have? Like what have you seen change in their life after they've done that inner work that deeply?
Okay, I'll give you my own personal example and I'll give you clients' examples as well. So basically, when they're able to do that, initially it is a little uncomfortable, accessing the memory, but you have to keep them in a particular state which is separate and disassociated so they can really take the learnings and not really relive the trauma. Right? So for me personally, I feel like you know this. I used to struggle a lot with panic disorder and anxiety and stuff like that, right? And I used to have constant panic attacks. And when I did timeline therapy for myself as well, and when I got enrolled into timeline therapy, I started practicing it. And honestly, now I feel like my body doesn't even know what anxiety feels like. Thank God.
Wow.
But like that's how deep it is. That's how transformative it is. I see clients within 2 sessions, they're like doing some, I mean, they're like literally blowing my mind. And I was like, whoa, like you're blowing my mind with like results. You can teach me something new. So it's crazy because all that conditioning and all that baggage we're holding out, like onto it's a barrier between us and our highest self. And when that barrier is removed, you automatically tap into your higher self and you grow on another level. Just like you said, time is not linear when you're working on yourself like that. So you can like really tap into like years of growth with just like having the right breakthroughs.
So when they break through like that, I guess it's not just an awareness, it is like a
Yeah.
literal identity shift. Am I
Yep.
right? Like it
Yep.
sounds like you're
Absolutely.
saying that they decide who they are instead of deciding that they need to keep trying to fix who they've been. It's
Yep.
almost like getting them into the present, realizing their potential, realizing that in this moment there is no limit on who they can be. And
Yeah.
and the past no longer keeps them back. It sounds like.
Absolutely. That's so
Oh,
true
that's
because
beautiful.
when they go through the discomfort of going in their timeline and accessing that heavy emotion or heavy trauma and working on that, automatically your brain knows that you can do this. And if you could do this, you could do anything. So you have more confidence once you're out of it, right? You're more relaxed, you're more released because we carry this in our body as well, right? We often don't know why something feels heavy, why do we feel anxious, why do we feel sad a lot, why do we get depressed a lot, why do our anger triggers right away. But when we do timeline therapy work, you get to the root cause, you understand, and you know that you're not your behavior. You're actually someone way beyond that.
What would you say is the hardest part of doing that type of inner work?
Okay, so the hardest part of that inner work is that the the start, and it's only the start because you have to go into that timeline, right? And we work in this way that we don't even have to like push the client to talk about what happened unless and until they really want to. The guidance is enough, the framework is enough. So if they don't want us to probe into that memory, they get their own confidentiality, their personal space to not talk about it as long as they're going through the process. That's the beauty of it.
Why do you think some people resist change, even though they really say they want change? Is it just a fear of going into that trauma? Is that what it is? Like a thought of, pulling a brick out of a wall that the whole wall might collapse?
Yeah. No, this reminds me of my favorite quote. It was also in a movie, Coach Carter. I think I read it to you too. I don't remember if I did, but it goes something like this: that our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. When we liberate our fears, we liberate others.
Oh my gosh. My favorite quote from Rumi, we are not a drop in the ocean, we are the entire ocean in one
I
drop. And
remember
that
the
reminds me of
entire
that.
mastermind. I
I
remember the
love
entire
that.
mastermind when we spoke about this. So basically, it's that self that they would have to become because our nervous system is bound to keep us in the familiar, right? Like when we get those terror barriers, they're also like trying to protect us. Every negative emotion is also a signal. It's a signal. It's trying to protect us from something. So that terror barrier is trying to keep us in the same place. It's trying to keep us in the familiar zone. So that familiar zone is so comfortable for most of us, and I used to be that person as well. It's basically who you need to become beyond that terror barrier is what scares people because they're like, I don't know what I'm gonna be. Like, I had no idea I was gonna be this person. Like, hypnotherapy? Are you serious? It hasn't even been a year. Yeah, so like of course it's scary, but it's the most beautiful and the most liberating thing you can do for yourself.
It really is. And seeing how far you've come in the last year or so is amazing. Even still today, where do you find yourself being challenged in your own growth?
Love that question. So, I still struggle with saying no. It's a muscle I'm practicing. You know that really well. I always come to you with it. And I feel like Revolution of Purpose was something that really taught me how to say no. And I think this was what I picked up on, like, how to say no from you. And what I realized that when you learn to say no more, you become more aligned. And I'm not saying you're saying no out of fear, out of like, some sort of like malice or you're trying to be evil or
It can
anything
take
like that.
courage to say no.
It takes a lot of courage for someone like me. Because I used to be this major people pleaser who wanted everyone to be happy, everything to stay the same, and everybody should like. But now I'm stepping into this identity who's like a little bit of a disruptor, like, yeah, shaking things up a lot and stepping into that person hasn't been easy, to be honest. There are a lot of no's, there are a lot of like being straight, remaining to be kind as well at the same time, but saying no, being uncomfortable, taking more risk, and taking aligned action. So that's new for me. Like I have to be okay with being disliked for a lot of things. I have to be okay with saying no to people. I have to be okay if someone does not understand. And this has taken a lot for me, to be very honest, because I was just like, okay, everybody should be happy. I don't want to say no to anyone. But now I start to do that more and more and more, and I say no more. And I feel like when I say no to the bigger things that don't align with me, I feel so much more closer to the things that do.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
No,
okay, I'm gonna do this more now.
I think that's huge, and it just shows your independence. I remember when you took your trip, about a year ago,
Oh my
by
God, that
yourself
was
into the
like a
mountains.
pivotal point for me.
It
The
was,
trip was like, yeah, and it's crazy how everything falls into place. And it was like I remember my partner at the time was like, I can't come with you, and I was like, can I just go by myself? He's like, yeah, okay, sure. Probably must have expecting me to say no, but I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna take it because I felt
Yeah.
so called. And the mountains, they're here, John. They do something to you. Like I honestly felt so uncertain for a while. I was like, what the hell am I doing in my life? This was right before Ikigai. I was like, what the hell am I doing in my life? Do I really want to be a book writer? And it felt nice when someone like asked me, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I have a book writing business. I write books for people. and they would be like, yeah, that's so cool, that's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, that is pretty cool, I do like it, but then I'm still like, there's this discomfort, like it's like the furniture inside me had been replaced or like changed up when I went
Mm-hmm.
there. But that trip was so important because it was also me challenging myself to take risk and try new things and do
Mm-hmm.
things that I've never done before, completely going with like unknown people and getting to know them, their culture, and then the culture there. It was just beautiful. Everything was amazing. And I never thought, I literally had told one of my friends that was going there that, hey, I'm just gonna go in the room and I'm just gonna chill and I'm just gonna write, like don't tell me to go anywhere. And he was like, yeah, yeah, sure. And I went to every single place, John. I did not miss a single place because I was like, it was so recharging. And I was like, you know what? Like, if I've come here, I'm not going to stay back and be comfortable. I want to challenge myself. I want to see what I could do and I want to see where that leads me. I think this has been the one thing that has really like helped me because I remember when I started taking therapy, I was just like, I want to know my truth and I would allow myself to let it take me wherever it does. And I think this was the most courageous decision I made back in 2022. And since then, it has led me to where I am.
I think that's huge. And I love it when you can look back and connect the dots. There's that famous Steve Jobs quote that we don't connect the dots looking forward, but we can look back and connect the dots and see how God and the universe was guiding us, point after point after point to get us to where we are in our most
It's
highest
so
self in our presence,
beautiful.
you know?
It's so
I love
beautiful. I
that.
feel like you get to have so much grace for yourself like that, right? And it's so much of the training you taught us as well with the magic word and rewiring every single day, like,
Hmm.
listening to Earl Nightingale and all that stuff. And I was like,
Oh, I
okay,
love it.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like see, that's also subconscious work that we're doing. We're creating new neural pathways by listening to such audios and such things that really like allow us or challenge us or question us basically. I feel like it's the questioning that we really need to do that really like, shakes up our subconscious a little bit and then something new comes out and you're like, "Oh, okay. This is
Hmm.
what it is."
So, what is something about Zunaira Rafay that people would be surprised to know about your own journey?
My own journey. I think oh, that's such a difficult one because I feel like I'm a very transparent person, but I've struggled a lot with saying no. I think this would be one thing that people don't know about me. And I feel like the fact that I'm stepping into this person who's not a very bubbly person. Not that I'm funny, but not a very, very bubbly person like I used to be. I think that's also a little surprising for people now. It's different. I say no more. I keep myself to myself when I need to. I recharge when I need to. I go out when I need to. I
You
take decisions
prioritize
based on.
yourself.
I prioritize myself, and that is something very new for people around me. And now I feel like my family is really proud. I'm really, really blessed. Like they've, you know what, John? I feel like if you're really honest to yourself and you're really aligning with who you're supposed to be, realities do bend in your favor. God is great like that because He sees the discomfort you're going through to be your higher self. And He blesses you accordingly. God is great. God is the kindest, honestly, because it's not easy. I used to feel like, like it's so easy for the person to go like be, do, have. Yeah, like what is that? That's so easy to say. But when I started to step into it, what it takes to be so delusional, be so faithful, be so courageous, be so kind, be so humble, be such a risk taker. I was like, oh my God, this is why God really blesses the people who are elevating on a higher level or who are elevating on a higher vibration because they're going all in. They're like, I don't care what my reality looks like. I'm gonna have delusional faith in myself and have delusional faith in God that it's gonna happen.
I love that. I love that you said delusional because it does seem like that on the outside looking in. But it's really when we get to the point that we realize that we are spiritual beings having a human existence,
Yes, you
then
always
what
say
we are,
that.
I love it. What we are
I love it.
creating in our mind is the fact, it's the reality. And then anything that we're actually seeing in the physical is just catching up with that. And I think that's really powerful
Just
when
like this
we recognize it.
conversation, we we literally like spoke about this a year ago, and we did not know how it's going to happen. It happened, like it unfolded in its own unique way, right? Like who
Absolutely.
knew we'll be sitting here? And I'm so proud of you as well for taking the risk you're taking, the way you've changed. Oh my God, your transformation, John, it's insane. Like, oh my, I love it. I am so proud. I am so, so, so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's all God just flowing through me and me just surrendering.
Absolutely.
I'm just have to constantly become that person
Yeah,
that
we're
God
all
is using.
vessels.
We
We're
are
all
all
vessels.
vessels, and I truly
Yep.
believe that the more we learn our purpose, flow in our purpose, that we change our community. I love how Deepak Chopra talks about Dharma, and how Dharma is so important, not just because it's our own light, but how we are literally changing the world around us as we're living our Dharma. And I think that is huge.
It's
What
just
would you
like that
say?
code.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
delivery. Yep, yep. Go on, go on. Complete your thought.
Well, I was just gonna say, what do you think is one truth about transformation or alignment that most people are missing?
That
And
you
tell me the
get to.
quote you're about to say, because I do want to hear it.
So it's the same code that I spoke about it from my favorite movie. That like our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. When we liberate ourselves, we liberate others. It's literally that. And I've first like experienced it. I feel like everyone's a mirror, right? Either they're going to expose something, or they're going to trigger something, or they're going to inspire something. All three things lead to us growing into our highest self. And that's a connection to God. That's a portal to God. So, the truth with all of this transformation, I feel like anything is possible. And everything is possible.
I love
This is
that.
just this is just something like it blows my mind because God's the miracle maker of the entire friggin' universe. And He created us. He created me. Oh my gosh, this feels like deja vu. I love this. I love this. So yeah, like he created us in such unique ways, and we can create our own reality. And now we're tapping into ourselves and creating new realities, becoming, who we're supposed to be, our most aligned self. You can have anything and every single thing. It's all possible for you. Like, people need to stop holding themselves back. Just like you said, the prison cells, the cage. Try breaking it for once and see what lies on the other side. It's so much worth it. It's so worth it. And it gets easy. Because I feel like I don't think we would ever want to go back now, would you? No, 100% not, never. Like,
Yeah.
yes, it wasn't easy. Really grateful for how far we come, but I would never want to go back to being that person. You know, I love being regulated. I love being able to create an impact through being who I am. Right? I wouldn't want to have it another way. And thank God for
Exactly.
this, so like I would just tell people, try, take 3 months, take 6 months, just like 6 months of, like you're like, oh, okay, that would be too less, even though you and I know a lot can happen in 6 months. So much can
That's a
happen in six
lifetime.
months Exactly, but that's because we're operating on that level, so we understand that, right? But so can anyone else, right? Anyone else can, and anyone and everyone can do the work we're doing. It's the risk and the decisions they have to make, the choices they have to make. That's it. That's it.
Absolutely. I think the quote of the entire podcast today is anything is possible, everything is possible. I love that. I think that is absolutely huge. I think that's amazing. Zanira, how can people get in touch with you? What are your socials? How can they find you?
Yay. So Instagram, I'm posting all the time. I love being a content creator. I post a lot of cringe stuff. But like that's also a muscle I'm practicing, so bear with me. They can reach out to me on Instagram, and then through there we can like chat. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I've started TikTok, still coming around that, like not really greatly into it, but yeah,
Cool.
those are the
Well, and I'll put
places.
your your contacts in the show notes as well.
That would be so
And this
kind of you.
is, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know what stands out to me from this conversation is just how deep that subconscious identity shift really goes, and how when we allow ourselves to go back to that childhood trauma, we get that emotional release in the moment. And we always talk about how things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And by going back to those traumas, we're taking ownership of that. Like, we get to decide that it happened for us, no matter what it was. And I think that that is the core to what real transformation looks like. It's not just thinking differently, but it's becoming different at that core level. Thank you so much for being here today, Zunairah. I appreciate it. And keep doing the work that you are doing and helping people step into who they are truly meant to be. You are such a bright light, and I am so honored to know you. Thank you for being a part of this podcast today.
Thank you, John. It was an absolute honor. I had so much fun. We're doing this live pretty soon.
Oh,
If we
yes,
can do this, we can
absolutely.
do that. Yeah, we're doing this live pretty soon.
Absolutely. All right, Z. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was an honor. I had so much fun. You're amazing, honestly. I am so grateful to you for everything you've done for me.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode encouraged you, if it challenged you, or if it helped you see your life a little bit differently, would you do me a favor? Subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating or review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Every share helps us reach more people who are searching for hope, purpose, and a life of greater meaning. And if you're ready to stop wondering what's next and start living with greater clarity and purpose in your own life, I would love to meet with you personally. Visit johnstreet.org right now to schedule your complimentary live purpose and clarity call with me. Until next time, remember, your purpose is not something you find. It is something you awaken to, and then you choose to live it. Go make today another step in your own revolution of purpose.